Alright, on this video I'm going to show you how to do the first drawing sheet for the puzzle cube. First thing you want to do is open up Inventor. Okay, you have to have Inventor open before you can open the drawing sheets from the R drive. It's not going to allow you to open even a part or anything straight from the R drive without Inventor already being open. Alright, so this time we're just going to close this window because we have things we want to open. We don't have anything new, and we don't want to use the drawing sheets that Inventor provides for us because they don't look as nice as the ones that we have on the R drive. So either go up here to open, or a lot of times I'll just go to my file down here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go to the R drive, and whichever teacher that you have, you're going to go to that teacher. Go to the drawing sheets. I think Mrs. Krumzik has it under IED if you're in Mrs. Krumzik's class. And then you're going to pick a drawing sheet. This little emblem here on the left indicates that it is a drawing sheet. The A block is a regular 8.5 by 11 sheet. The B block is an 11 by 17 sheet, and that's the one that we're going to want to use. In this class, we actually will not be doing any of the block C because we don't have a printer that will print one that large. I just happen to have one made. So go ahead and double click on the custom title block B. Okay, this was made in a different version than what we have now, so that's why you're going to get a window that says like this. Click yes. Okay, so this is your B block drawing sheet. All right, so the first thing I want to do is go back in and I want to open up each of my puzzle pieces. All right, this is something I should have shown you in whenever you're actually making the pieces, but since we haven't done that, I want you to go ahead and do this now. So I'm going to go to each of my puzzle pieces, and I'm going to open up each one of them. All right, now I have already done this, but you're going to need to do this for your pieces. So I'm just going to show you how. So you're going to go into each piece, you're going to open it up, click on the large eye in the upper left-hand corner, go down to eye properties. I need to tell what type of material it's made of. Right, so I open up the piece, I went up to the large eye, I went down to eye properties. Then I'm going to click on physical. Right now yours probably says default, but I want it to be wood because we made it out of maple wood. These little blocks are made out of maple, so I've been told. So you just click on this little arrow and you'd go down to wood and click maple. And you're going to want to change that for each one. And notice by doing that, it'll tell you the density, tells you the mass, what the center of gravity for this particular piece would be, your area, and your volume. Right? So it gives you a lot of information that you're not going to have to calculate because Inventor does that for you. And then I would click apply or OK, and then I would close it. Make sure that you save it. Say yes, you want to save that. And then you can go ahead and close that piece and open up the rest of them. Right? All right, so now you're ready to do your drawing sheet. Right? The first thing you want to do, this particular drawing sheet has two isometric views and an exploded view. So I'm going to put in the isometric view first. All right, I just like to work left to right. That's the only reason why I'm putting that one in first, because your isos are going to be here, your exploded view is going to be here. So again, just like I talked about before, when it comes to Inventor, it's usually left to right. All right, the first thing that you're going to do is usually the first thing on the left. It says base. All right, and click on it. I need to go get my isometric view of my assembly. Okay, I want to show my my cube assembled together. So I click on the little magnifying glass so I can go find it. I don't have to go find my puzzle cube because I was already using this file in my drawing sheet. You'll probably have to go in and get your assembly and go find that file folder. All right, so once you found it, you're going to pick up your assembly. All right, so I click on it and I click open. Okay, now you can see what it looks like right now. This is not the view I want. I wanted an isometric view of my assembly. All right, I can change the different views over here. All right, I can look at the different views. I look at ISO, top right, ISO left, or the way I like to do it is I click on this button here where it says change view orientation. I think it's easier to click on it and go in and decide what view I like best. Okay, as you've probably figured out, I like purple, so I'm going to make that front and center. Whatever reason you have, whatever you like, just find an ISO view and pick that ISO view that you like best, maybe shows most of the pieces, and then I'm going to say finish current view. All right, so I've got it the way I want it. And in here you would have pan, you could rotate, you could free orbit. More than likely you'll be able to find an ISO view with the way it is though. And click finish custom view. All right, so that's what it's going to look like. I'm not ready though to place it because now I have to decide scale. I'm going to move this over so I can kind of look at it. And I think, yes, that's going to fit nicely. I can fit 2 of these over here with a 1-to-1 scale. All right. Yes, this is my view 1. I don't need to change anything on that. Now down here we've got hidden lines or hide the hidden lines. All right. I don't need hidden lines for this particular assignment. All right. I'm just doing some ISO views and exploded, so I don't need the hidden lines. So I'm going to leave that checked. And I also want it colored. This is kind of misleading because it shows it colored, but if I clicked it here, it would just give me a black and white sketch of it. So I do want it to stay colored. I want it to look these colors. All right. So now I'm ready to place it. I do not click OK or it's just going to leave it right here, and I don't want that. So instead, I'm going to place it where I think it would look nice, and I'm going to left click to place that. All right. Now, I really don't want my next one to look upside down like that. I want it to be the back. So I'm going to go ahead and right click and tell it that I'm done. I'm going to say OK. Or I could have hit escape. I'm ready to place the next one. So I click base. Again, I go find my cube. At this point, your file folder should already be there, and you should be able just to go down and grab your assembly. Click open. Again, I need to go in and figure out what I want it to look like. All right, so I could go through these, but I personally like to see a larger view of it so I can decide what I want it to look like. So I know that this is my front view. The second isometric view of your assembly needs to be the back side of it. All right, so that way if you couldn't see anything in the first one, any of the pieces, you'll see it in the back. So I'm just going to click this far corner. So this is the front. If I click this far corner, notice now I have the back. My purple piece is in the back now. I click Finish Custom View again. Okay. Again, it's a 1-to-1 that I've decided on. This is my view 2. I don't want hidden lines. And again, I want it colored. So I'm going to click Shaded. Now I'm going to place this where I think it would look nice. Left click. And then I don't need to place this anywhere else, so I'm going to right click and say OK. I personally think I put this maybe a little too low. I'd like to raise it up some. So how I raise it or move it is notice how I get these little arrows. I kind of move around here. If I go over here, I don't have the arrows. I can't do anything with it. Once I get the arrows, that means I can pick it up and I can move it. Okay. So place it the way so it looks nice and you have plenty of room in between, because we're getting ready to add balloons so we can number the parts. Okay, also, if maybe I did forget to color it, I was throwing them on there and I was like, oh, I forgot to color that. I would go to where I see the arrows again. I right click. I'm going to edit my view. It's right here. I click edit view. And then I could make whatever changes. Or if I decided that the scale was off and I needed it smaller or bigger, I could go ahead and change that scale. I'm not making any changes, so it's not giving me an option to say okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and cancel. Or if I didn't really like that view, I could have changed the view there as well. Okay. Now I'm ready to put the exploded view on this page. I've got a large area for the exploded view. I want to leave this top corner open and blank because I'm going to put a parts list on it. So again, I click base. I'm going to this time pick up my exploded view. Okay. I'm going to click open. As you can tell, this is not the view I want it to look like. Okay. I can change things around, or again, I just like to click change view orientation. To me, this is so much easier to work with. I click on my home, it's already there. And I click finish custom view. Again, I've got to check to see, yes, this looks good, a 1-to-1. It's view 3. It really doesn't show the view, so even if you've got the wrong view because you made changes, it's okay. I've got then hidden lines removed. It's already clicked, so I don't have to click anything. And then I want it to be colored. So this looks pretty centered. Again, I can change this later, just like I showed before, if it ends up not working. So I'm going to left click. I don't really want any more of those, so I right click and say OK, or I could have hit escape. I also, say I didn't like where this purple piece was. Maybe it is too far up. I couldn't fit the exploded view onto my sheet. Sometimes that happens. In that case, you would right click and you would say open. I'm going to open up this exploded view. If I needed to change something on the assembly, I'd do the same kind of thing. I click open and it opens up that exploded view that I have saved. Now I could make whatever changes I want. Say I want to make this down a little bit, right? Maybe in. Then I would save it. Right. Notice it says, would you like to change this? Yes. I click OK and OK. Now, whenever I close this, or I'll just go ahead and go back to my drawing sheet, notice it changed it on my drawing sheet for me. Okay, so we need to state which piece is what so we can make a parts list for it. Right? But before I do that, I want to go ahead and talk about the title block. We need to fill this in. So I'm going to go up here where it says Custom Block B. And don't forget this. This seems to be the most common thing that students in the past have forgotten, is to fill in this title block. All right. So go up here, it says Custom Block B, press the little plus because we want to edit this filled text. I'm going to double click on it and brings up a window. And I can change the assignment name. You're going to name it Puzzle Cube Project. The material, for some reason, is not filling in for this particular drawing sheet. The next one it will, because we're actually doing multi-view sketches on those, but it's not on here, so I'll show you how to get around that in just a moment. Go ahead and type in your name. Okay, this is Hogan. The creation date is supposed to automatically fill in today's date. The way that we have to save things here for Tulsa Tech, and we don't have certain rights, it doesn't allow it to update on its own. So you have to update this yourself. So go up here where it says iProperties and click on it. while you have creation date selected. Click on it and go to Project. We need to change that date to today's date. So it changes to today's date. And click Apply. And then I'm going to go ahead and close that. So it makes that change to today's date. The scale is a 1-to-1 scale, or I could have put in here full. You'll see that sometimes. The REV number is your revisions number. I have not made any revisions to this drawing sheet because it's my first time. It's my first time making it. If I have you change things on your puzzle cube or you messed up on your drawing sheet, you're going to have a revision. And at that point, you would put 1 for first revision. You're going to have 2 drawing sheets. This is the first of 2. I'm going to go ahead and put sheet number 1. And click OK. So down here, you can see where it's all filled in, right, except for material, and checked by which, it'll be checked by me, and I can put that in later. But material, I would like to put in that it is wood and it's maple. So I'm going to go to Annotate. I'm going to go to Text. And I need to show where I want this text box. Go ahead and draw that I'd like this text box right here over material. And I'm going to type in maple wood. Or you could put wood and then the parentheses maple if you want it to look like what it said earlier. And click OK. Right, so now everything is filled in. Okay, usually by this point, I start getting a little worried that Inventor's going to crash because it does tend to do that a lot. So I would go ahead and save this. So you go up here, make sure you click Save As. Don't click Save, because if you click Save and you've been using the drawing sheet from the R drive, you don't have rights to save in the R drive. So your Inventor will crash because it doesn't know what to do. And you've done a lot of work at this point, so you don't want it to crash. Don't click Save on these drawing sheets. Always click on Save As. Okay, so click Save As. And then you're going to go in and you're going to go ahead and save it in your H drive. Go find your H drive and find your puzzle cube. And you're going to want to rename this in your puzzle cube as drawing sheets, or puzzle cube drawing sheets. Okay? And you would click Save. All right. Then, now you've got a lot of work done, like I said. You've done your Save As. You've got it at least to a point that if Inventor crashes, which it tends to like to do periodically, you've saved it to this point. From this point on, you can go ahead and hit Save. You're not trying to get it into the R drive. And you're always going to pull these drawing sheets probably out of your R drive, so it's a good habit to get into. All right, now we want to annotate each of these pieces. I want to balloon them. So over here it says balloon. We need to tell what each part is. I'm going to click balloon. And if it happens to look like this, the auto balloon, it never really balloons it right. So you're not going to want to click that one. You want to make sure it's just one at a time. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit so I can see it better. And I am going to number each one. Now, I don't know if you remember, but the blue piece was my first piece that I put in. All right, this might be a different assembly than the one I showed, but if not, the blue piece should end up being number 1. All right, so yes, this is an IAM. All right, so yes, this is the correct assembly to pull it from. And I'm going to click OK. Right? Yes, this is number 1. It's because it's the first piece I put in. When you're putting in a balloon, you always want to get on the edge. It's not going to let you pull straight from the middle. I left clicked to place it there. Now I want this at about a 45, 30, 60, somewhere around there angle. Never have it at a straight. Never make it straight. Okay, 90, 0, 180. Always have it at an angle. Okay? And kind of have it close to the piece. Don't put it way out here because that just doesn't look good. You want it nice and compact. All right, so now I'm going to left click. Then I'm going to right click and say continue. And that's going to leave it there. All right, now I'm just going to go ahead and do the other ones. All right, I left click on the edge. I bring it out. I left click. And even if I move things around, all right, if I wanted it to look kind of different, I would left click again, but I don't. I just need these at an angle. And then I right click and I continue. And I'm going to continue to do that. All right, so what happens, oops, I don't need to double do the blue one. Okay, so what happens if, say, I left click and then I forget to pull it out and right click? Instead, I right click and continue. Now it's stuck there. Well, I need to hit escape so that I'm no longer on ballooning. And I come in here and I find that little green dot. And I'm going to pull it out. Notice I can move this around. Right, if I need to pull it out. Right, and then I can drop it. Right, so I can change these things if I need to. Also, I need to get inside on this orange one. Okay, so when I do my balloon, I need to make sure that I have the correct piece selected. Right, so I've selected it there. Pull this, I don't know, maybe I'll do it here. I'm going to left click, I'll right click and continue. But at this point you can't tell if it is the blue piece or the orange piece because it's in between. So I'm going to come in here, I'm going to hit escape so I no longer have that picked. And I am going to get that green dot and I'm going to pull it to the middle. Right, or somewhere, wherever I would like it to be. Right, now it shows that it's this piece. Okay, and then I would go ahead and balloon the rest of them, and I'm going to do those fairly quickly so that we can move on. Okay, so I'm going to do both pieces from the assembly, or I guess both assemblies, each piece in them. And then I'm going to also do my exploded view. Notice I need to, see, sometimes I still mess up. Okay. Okay, trying to hurry through this too fast. Okay. All right, so I've got them all ballooned. Now you need to put a parts list on there. All right, so right here it says parts list. I'll click parts list. And yes, it's coming from this assembly. So I don't need to go find it. Okay. And we'll do structured or parts only, either one works. It just wanted me to say, it wanted me to agree that this is the right assembly. Now it gives me the choice to say OK. So I click OK. All right, I'm going to bring it up here into the corner. I'm going to left click and see this particular parts list is not what I wanted. First off, these are colors, not a number, and there's nothing in the description. So I need to show you how to edit your parts list. I'm going to get up here to where I'm definitely selecting the parts list. Notice how the little green dots form around it. I'm going to right click and I'm going to edit the parts list. Okay, if I want to change the description and type in there, I can, but because my file names are colors, I really don't need description. So I go to this first one, and where it says column chooser, I'm going to choose which ones I want. All right, I'm going to click on it. And I don't want a description, so I click on it and say remove. I don't want a part number because these aren't numbers, so I'm going to remove that. I do want to tell how many I have of each, so I'm going to leave the quantity. The ones I want you to use is I want you to use the file name. I'm going to add it. And I also want to see what material it is made out of. So click material, and then I'm going to click add. If I want to change these around, maybe I wanted material before it or quantity later, whatever, I could move it up and down. And click OK. Look at this. It looks pretty good. I've got my file names. They're the colors. I've got the material. So I'm going to go ahead and apply that and click OK. I don't really like the shape of my parts list. I would like the parts list to be a little bit bigger. I want to make maybe each one of these a little bit wider in those quantities. I'd also like to make this a little bit smaller. So I'm going to pull, see if I can kind of play with it a little bit. This kind of takes time sometimes to get this to look the way that you want it. All right, that looks a little bit better to me. All right, so now I need to save it again. Oh, fix this little mistake down here. Okay. Check it, make sure it all looks good. Make sure you like where everything is placed. Make sure all your numbers are all correct on there. And now we're ready to print it. Now printing is a little bit different than just clicking print because this is a special size. You'll need to go over to your printer, and the tray 1, it says 1 on the front of the printer, and it's like a flap. You're going to pull that out. You're going to get some 11 by 17 paper, and you're going to put it in it. Then you're going to go up here. Right, now again, you've saved this already, so you don't lose any of your work. You're going to go up here to the eye, click on it, and click print. All right, to print to this printer, you want it to pull from tray 1. So you click Properties, Printing Shortcuts. So paper size is 11 by 17. Paper source is tray 1. Your pages per sheet, we just want 1. Right? Everything else is correct. And yes, we want the landscape view. And click OK. Now I'm ready to print if I have the paper in the right tray. And I'm ready. And I would click OK. Only put the number of sheets in the printer that you need to print. Because if somebody else prints something behind you, it's going to automatically pull it from tray 1 because it's open, and we don't want to waste the 11 by 17 paper. So just put one piece in there, print that one, and let each person put their own in, just in case they had something else they were printing, and then it would accidentally pull from that 11 by 17. It happens a lot, so I just wanted to say something about that. All right, and as you need help, just let me know.